Our next guests are going to explain unhackable communication technology and how the government is responding to it. Let's welcome Muchnick, the founder of and CEO of the M2 Group, and Chris Howell, the CTO of Wickr.
Yeah, so unhackable, huh? I have some questions here. How you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
So something really unhackable?
Well, for the technology side, why don't you, Chris, jump in real quick and explain what that means?
No absolutes, right? So if you want to talk about the end of the world hackable, we could brute force encryption till possibly 300,000 years. Maybe it's hackable, right? But for all intents and purposes, we can use the word unhackable.
Okay, cool. So what do you guys each do?
Well, so my firm is called the M2 Group. I work with innovative technology companies for the most part that have a policy component. So, for example, when a company is doing really interesting, innovative, bold, non-traditional work, and they're tackling a policy issue from the private sector point of view, those are the types of companies I'm attracted to, I like to work with. For example, Wickr, we're going to get into a little bit here, this idea of encryption and how to protect ourselves from unwarranted access to our personal data, which is what brought me in contact with them. And then,
yeah, so I'm CTO and co-founder of Wickr. We're a secure communications company. We do secure collaboration solutions primarily for business now. We started out with a consumer-based messenger. The idea is to provide real security in a technology product, real privacy, as opposed to providing a free service, and the users are typically the commodity in that case. I think we've seen too many examples.
Yeah, we see a lot of that these days, of course.
You talk about the art of cryptology. I think that's very fascinating. And our viewers may not know also that Morgan actually played a pivotal role in creating the Department of Homeland Security. So these guys are the real deal.
yes.
Man, secret agent Madden over here.
Seriously.
Well, from a legislative point of view, I worked in Congress, and we were the committee of jurisdiction that created the Department of Homeland Security back soon after 9/11. So yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's a lot of our customers now. So I'd say for the past 3 years, we've been focused on enterprise. So we have important customers within the Department of Defense.
So you have both private and public sector.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, which people don't realize in the private sector, there's a lot of spying too. So
absolutely.
The need for encrypted messaging is very important. Yeah.
Especially a security-first company, we look at principles like zero trust, where we're thinking about protecting you from the big bad world out there, right? There's a lot of concern about these 5G networks now. If you've seen that, a lot in the news.
With Huawei,
right. The idea is that it's very hard for us to trust the network out there, so we should be, we look at it as a security provider as creating products where we can cope with that big bad world. We can give a product that provides security even though you're running on an untrusted network like 5G.
Right. So, for example, you recall not that long ago the scandal of all these municipalities being hacked and being charged with ransomware and held up. And even in the year 2019, we still have these government employees accessing ridiculous links that are directly going to compromise the data. And if you're a citizen of a city, you shouldn't feel like you should be afraid of putting
your life in the hands of other people in front of a computer.
Which we don't have an option. You live in a city, that's your government.
100%. You have no option whatsoever. But what if those people were using encryption technology? You can be as dumb as you want to be. It's unhackable. Right. So you can click the most stupid nonsense stuff where humans were eminently fallible.
But ultimately in cybersecurity, it is the human factors which undercut everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big part of our focus with products is that you can't make it like running a nuclear submarine, right? You have to make a product that's easy and approachable.
It's hard? A nuclear submarine?
Yeah, you do it every day.
So can anyone use encrypted communication? I know that I think of the old Blackberries. I think WhatsApp is encrypted for now.
The government actually has expressed concern over this encrypted communication, and I want to know if they could potentially shut you all down.
Well, this is kind of the whispers that are going on, whether there would be some legislation about forcing companies like ours to put in potentially like a master key.
Oh boy, that sounds risky.
Sounds risky. From our position as a technology provider, I could say it's very risky. I don't see any technology provider that says that will actually work in a way that will not introduce massive amounts of risk onto the system. Plus, if you think about the logical conclusion of that, you force us to break our encryption, all you're going to do is move all of those users to foreign companies' products potentially.
Oh, that's a good point.
There would be no one less stuff to surveil anyway. So
Wickr is an American company with American code, American offices, American employees. This should be the model, right? Is that you want American ingenuity, American companies to be developing to address concerns in the marketplace. And if the government gets maybe too heavy-handed, what you'll do is you'll push this innovation offshore, and then the technology will make its way back into America anyway, and you won't have the ability to work with us. So one of the things I do with Wickr is we work with the policy community and the Trump administration and the Congress and both House and the Senate to be a private sector expert on these policy issues so that we can find reasonable solutions that don't require an overly draconian government approach.
But let's get real. Congress has no idea how technology works, right?
100%.
They asked
Nor
Mark
should they.
Zuckerberg.
Nor should they.
They asked Mark Zuckerberg how he makes his money, and he had his one-word famous response: ads. You remember that, Trisha?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think we all
You
remember
see
that.
the Google hearings when Google goes in front of Congress and our members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are just humiliated with their ridiculous inability to understand even the most basic nuances of
How many
technology.
of us have gotten an email, don't click on this, I didn't send it? We've all gotten those.
Yeah, but I don't click on anything. I'm from a different generation. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. That looks suspicious.
But in the early days of Wickr with encryption, Wickr was more of a personal service individual product, and now what we're seeing is Wickr is emerging into a enterprise services provider. So that, for example, a team at AT&T might have a whole group of people working in secure communications, or maybe working with government contracts and these things. And you can have a chief information security officer can manage all of that data so that AT&T employees or whatever, Verizon, whatever company you may want to use, can communicate, and 100% that is safe because there is no vulnerable point. It's end-to-end encryption. And
What, you mean no more big data breaches? I feel like we get one every day. That's like the
Absolutely
gift
every
that
day.
keeps on giving.
Well, it's an important point also with government. So we have government customers, right? It's in their interest to keep their data secure as well, right? So it is a little ironic that we're talking about government potentially trying to exert controls over something where if we broke our encryption, they probably wouldn't.
They couldn't even protect my data. I'm a
very
victim.
important.
I have free credit monitoring because the federal government
Oh, I
leaked
do
it.
too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
It's-
here's
they're
to that,
valid
yeah.
till like 2035 at this point. They're really sorry.
I think I have free overlapping services right now for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
Protecting my credit.
Right.
That's right. So the thinking is that if the government wants to understandably use protected communication for its sensitive work, is it really that unreasonable to expect civilian individual people to want to take control of their own destiny, control their own data in an era where data is the new oil and it's a constant nonstop attack on every single person's data, whether it's nefarious reasons by foreign agents, whether it's people just trying to get ad dollars for selling to you.
Data's money.
This is the only way, encryption based is the only way to take positive control of your own personal data and your own documents. And that we have, as Wickr has whole teams of people that work with first responders, police, federal government. As legitimate needs arise for national security or crimes, we work with them all the time to ensure that legitimate needs are met. We just are nervous about this idea of having a permanent backdoor where a government agency can access individual people's
And what's the
data
rule
at
of a
any time.
backdoor? Once you have one, you use it.
100%. It's human nature.
Possible to control from there.
Absolutely.
And we provide those administrative controls for companies too. So a lot of what we are brought in companies, why they're interested in our technologies, it's not an uncontrollable solution that people download from the App Store and the company has no control. That was the world that was created in the previous 5 years, right? So we're providing solutions that actually have administrative controls. Governments, corporations can go in, they can control the solution, they can provision people on and off, they can set security policies for things like how long messages should last within, rather than
Deleting
single
old
forever.
data. Man, we could go on about this all day. But
And the SEC, and you very quickly mentioned the SEC, some of these rules about how long you store data and these sort of.
Yeah, there are
But
other
does
ways
anyone
to
follow those? No.
No. There are better ways to do it than master keys, I guess is what we're saying, that we've seen models work, and we can move this debate to, rather than focusing on making technology providers do things like embed master keys, let's have the argument between the Congress and the American people as to whether we should have back.
Yeah, because ultimately the data belongs to us.
Right. It's
That's
Right.
our
That's
data.
what we think.
Wickr doesn't
Yeah.
want to be a decision maker. Wickr wants to provide tools and technology, and it should be the individual citizen. We have a whole Bill of Rights written for us to access, and we're the ones who control the data. We don't want to be a decision maker. We want the people to decide how they use their data.
Well, on that note, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to have this spirited conversation with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.